And joining us now is former Florida Gator quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, Danny Wuerffel. Big game coming up on CBS 46, Georgia and Florida. But first, Danny, let's talk about your big charity golf tournament that you got coming up that weekend down in Jacksonville.
Yeah, thanks. So we have a really exciting event going on right before the, as we like to say, Fred, the Florida-Georgia game.
Exactly,
and we bring in a lot of celebrities, former players, coaches from both teams, and fans. And we have a gala Thursday night. And then Friday we have a big golf outing, the Desire Cup, presented by Pilgrims, and it's just a wonderful, fun event that raises a lot of resources to help us in our work at Desire Street.
And tell us about your Desire Street Ministries, because that's something that you're very involved in, obviously, and something that you've taken over. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so Desire Street's been around for almost 30 years now. It started in New Orleans in one neighborhood, a very under-resourced neighborhood there, and did a lot of great work. I got involved when I was playing with the Saints. And then after Katrina, we were forced out of there for a while. That's when I became the director. And what we found is there are, what I like to say is heroes all over the place that live and work in really difficult neighborhoods. And so what we found is a lot of them are just not getting the resources, the coaching, the training, the opportunities to really be effective and to last. So what Desire Street does is we support amazing heroes. We come alongside them for about 5 years, and we help them become the most effective leaders in their neighborhoods. We've seen tremendous change. We've helped to start schools and churches and all sorts of great programs. It's been incredibly exciting.
You know, and Coach Spurrier, of course, is going to play, right? So, I mean, he's one of your favorites, your old coach there. And I don't know, I just love your funny stories with Coach Spurrier. Anything that you'd like to share with us?
Well, again, coaching for all of us is an important thing, and that's part of what we do at Desire Street. And I would know how important it is to have played for a guy like Steve Spurrier. I mean, he clearly changed the trajectory of my life. I love to share the story of one of my first interceptions. I thought the receiver maybe didn't quite run the right route, so I was wondering who would get in trouble. And he says, Danny, don't worry, it's not your fault. I was like, oh, whew. He said, it's my fault for putting you in. You're out. So he's a hoot, always has been, but one of the fiercest competitors and arguably one of the greatest college football coaches of all time.
Now, you're the executive director. What clicked for you that kind of made you go in this direction and kind of want to help people like this?
So when I was playing for the Saints, I was looking for something to be involved in. You know, I don't think you ever quite know all the things in your life that lead you in a direction, but I just took a step to see what was happening in the city, and I saw a neighborhood that was really shocking to me, because we had these beautiful kids and incredibly talented young people that just didn't have the same opportunities that I had. I mean, you had from the living conditions. I mean, the valedictorian from the high school there for years didn't pass the ACT because the school system was so backwards for a lot of different reasons. And you know, you could have an injury and have no access to get any help or health care if you were sick in the neighborhood. And so it just really triggered me this idea that something's not right, and how could I make a difference? And then one thing led to another, and here we are today, all these years later, trying to see that model of help happening all over the place.
Yeah, it does. It happens in different cities now, doesn't it?
Yeah, Desire Street's working in several cities across the Southeast. We've been, since the original days in New Orleans, we've been in over 20 different neighborhoods, really focused, currently working in 10 across the Southeast, and have a lot of excitement for the future.
You know, we've had one of your old buddies in here, Champ Bailey. I know he was a teammate of yours when you were with the Redskins. And just talk about Champ as well, because he talked very highly of you. Just talk a little bit about Champ and the kind of guy he is, not only the kind of player he is.
Yeah, well, obviously he's a Hall of Fame player, but just a really quality guy as well. I mean, he was always a kind of a soft-spoken. His actions led more than his words, and both on the field and off, and he's continued to do things to help others, and I'm a big fan of Champ Bailey.
You were telling me in practice, because you were both with the Redskins, just the kind of the smart player that he was.
Oh man, he knew what you were doing before you did. He was like making your reads for you, intercepting passes, knocking them down. Fast, athletic, smart, unbelievably great player. Without question, the best DB that I kind of faced on a day in and day out ever in my career.
Tell us about the Georgia and Florida rivalry. What makes it so special? I mean, obviously bordering states, but just what makes the rivalry so good?
Well, I think there's such a history for everyone involved. I remember even with Spurrier, you know, he always would say every game's just as important as any other game. But you could tell that week something was more important. And in his history and his life, something made that significant. And you get that feel from administrators and coaches and fans. And then you come into this unique environment. It's in Jacksonville. It's not like a home game. This is a different type of scenario for the players to step into. And then, often, as again this year, you add the fact that it's whoever wins is probably going to win the SEC East championship and go play in Atlanta. So the stakes are high. It's a great, fantastic game.
And Dan Mullen, since he's come over, just what has he meant to that program?
Man, we're super thrilled to have Coach Mullen. I'll never forget his introductory press conference. He said the word, relentless effort, I think 60 or 70 times. And I heard that and I was like, I wanted to be a better dad. I wanted to work out more. I wanted to eat healthier. He drives you to be better, and then he does. He's got an incredibly smart football IQ, and he's really, I think, has always taken the players he had and put them in the best chance to win, and he's done that already for us at Florida. We're super happy.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit about, you grew up in Florida, right? So did you grow up not liking Georgia?
So I sort of grew up in Florida. I was born there, and then my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved all over. So mostly I grew up everywhere else. And then I came back for my high school years to be in the Northwest Florida. So I really, to be honest, was a Florida State fan. My older sister went there. One of my best friends has a picture of our 9th grade yearbook. He was a Gator fan, and I don't. Is this going to be on TV? There was a picture of me stabbing a gator with a Seminole spear.
Oh my good!
Fortunately,
wow.
He's never shared that yet in our life. He's got some dirt on me, but so I was a bigger Florida State fan. I visited Alabama, Florida State, and Florida, so I never had a lot of problems with Georgia ever, either beforehand or even as a player.
But I mean, most of the players really don't. I mean, most of the players respect one another, don't they? I mean, for the most part, it's a fans thing,
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some guys that may have known each other from high school that shift, but I think some of the in-state rivalries sometimes are bigger because I had a lot of friends at Florida State, and we're playing each other, and so I think you pick up the sense of the rivalry from those around you, and Florida Georgia is like none other.
What was the recruiting process like for you? Because recruiting is so big in the South, in Florida and Georgia, speaking of recruiting. So
yeah, I tell you what, looking at it, it's amazing the amount of attention and pressure for a 17 or 18-year-old kid to receive like that. Honestly, I don't know how healthy that probably is for any of us, but for me, it was probably not too dissimilar. The biggest difference being the social media stuff wasn't there. That just sort of made things crazier, but I took 3 visits. I went to see Gene Stallings at Alabama and loved him and loved Alabama. Bobby Bowden at Florida State. Oh my goodness, what a great program, great coach. And Spurrier at Florida. So I was torn. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I loved all 3 coaches, all 3 schools. But to play for Spurrier and to get an education from Florida, a lot of people don't know Florida is amazing education. Currently, it's the 7th ranked public university in the country. It's incredible. So that's why I went there.
And winning the Heisman Trophy. Spurrier also won the Heisman Trophy. So what was that like? What was that experience like to win the Heisman Trophy?
The season, people are talking about it a lot, but you don't ever go try to win the Heisman. You go play football. So you focus on the football stuff, and then all of a sudden it becomes award season, and it's crazy. It's a little bit surreal. I remember Jerry Spurrier, Coach Spurrier's wife, right afterwards, she came to me and she said, Danny, you won't really even understand what this means for years. And I didn't know what she was talking about, but looking back now, I think it's true. At the time, it's a whirlwind. You're here, you're there, you're going, but 25 years later now, almost, it's like people introduce you no matter where you are. You're a former Heisman Trophy winner. It sticks with you really forever. It's amazing.
What was that evening like in New York? Because obviously, there's so many good players, and you're among the last 5. I mean, what was that weekend and that evening like in New York for you?
It's great. They treat you great. It's a special time. You get there. There's a lot of nerves, obviously, and you have the TV show and they announce it. And it was fun for me. My family was there and people close with me. And one of my favorite memories is in the old downtown athletic club, which isn't there anymore, there's a little lounge with a piano and a lady was singing, and she took a break and my family took over. I started playing piano. George Rogers was singing Lean on Me. My mom came in and sang a song, and
wow.
it was a real special time.
So you were playing the piano?
A little bit, yeah.
So where did you learn to play the piano?
My mom's a pianist. She taught me some growing up, and big musical family, and have always enjoyed music.
Now, I wanted one more question about the Gators, and not one more question, but
Sure.
another question about Kyle Trask. Coach Spurrier kind of compares the 2 of you all together. What do you like about this young man?
I like just about everything about Kyle. I mean, his story is so unique. A guy that, that didn't even play in high school. He's faithful to where he is at Florida. A lot of the guys nowadays, if they're not playing enough, they're transferring. But what I really like about him is his football IQ, and his decision making is so fast. He's reading defenses pre-snap and post-snap faster than very, very few people at that level in college football, in my opinion. And he's a very accurate passer. I think it really helps us. Our best position group for Florida is the wide receivers. We're not a great running team, and so it just sort of played out that I think this actually has lifted our ceiling as an offense.
He's a big guy, too. I mean, he's like 6'5", 240, 250?
Yeah, he is. He's a really big guy.
I mean, that is huge. But you touched on this. I want to ask you more about this, though, because we see guys transfer all the time, but he's the guy that stuck it out. What does that say about that young man to stick it out like he did? Because he could have transferred.
It's just a great story, when everybody kind of in our culture is about what's in it for me, and if it's not right away, there's no patience. This is just sort of a story of the opposite. As a guy who's been through a lot of adversity. He's a tremendous high school player, but he happens to be behind an electric quarterback, so he doesn't play. He comes to Florida. He's behind some incredible players. Last year, in the middle of the year, they decided to give him a shot to start. So you talk about a guy who finally gets his chance. He got hurt in practice. And so then Felipe goes back in. So it's kind of like this long-suffering story of faithfulness of a guy with good character that now gets his shot and is just killing it.
You were drafted by the Saints. What was it like getting that call to be drafted in the NFL?
That was great. I got the call from Mike Ditka, who was the coach
Ditka,
of the Saints.
yeah.
A lot of people don't remember.
Oh, sure, I remember.
Probably because we weren't that good. Wish I could have played for him at the Bears. But no, he was the coach. He called me. It was an exciting time to be a young guy going to play on a pro team.
What was it like, though, not coaching, but playing for Mike Ditka? Because, we see the Saturday Night Live skit, Coach Ditka, the Bears, all that stuff. And he's known because he played for the Bears and, led the Bears to the Super Bowl. What was it like when he was with New Orleans?
I think, the perception most people have of him is accurate. He is this Iron Mike. He's tough. I don't care. Go, run over him. Ah! And that's true. But a lot of people, I don't see another side to him that I got to know that is this incredibly loyal, kind, and generous man. And the things that he did for people behind the scenes. He actually was one of the original contributors to build the actual Desire Street building the very first time around. He took care of staff that had needs, and there's so many stories about that side of him that a lot of people don't know.
Looking back, what are some of your favorite memories of football? Not only, NFL, but college, everywhere.
Man, well,
I'm sure you've got plenty.
I remember as a kid, the first time I got my uniform, and I just remember putting the helmet, setting it out on my bed, the helmet and the shoulder pads, and was so excited to actually have the gear. A great moment for me was my senior year in high school when we won the state championship. We actually played in the swamp. They had it in Gainesville, and we won the state championship. And so that was just a tremendous experience. I'd say the next two, without question, would be winning the national championship at Florida against Florida State. And then one that a lot of people don't know is I went and played in Europe after 3 years with the Saints and played for the Rhein Fire in Dusseldorf. And we won, Fred, the World Bowl.
I remember that.
People think the Super Bowl. This is like the World Bowl,
World
right?
Bowl, yeah.
So that was very fun. That was an exciting time, great competition.
What was it like playing in the World League of American Football? Maybe people don't remember that, but the World League of American Football, it was kind of, it was a training ground for a lot of guys, or like for you to get back in,
Yep.
To get some reps. What was that like playing over there in Europe, and how was American football received?
Well, first, the football is fantastic. You're talking about guys that are right on the cusp of NFL teams. Most of them were on NFL teams that got sent over. So the talent level was incredible. The reception in Europe was actually way bigger than I thought. There's, especially in certain cities. So like, you go in Germany and Frankfurt, and when we were in Dusseldorf, you're talking about 20, 30,000 people. I'm not sure they knew what was happening. I remember, they were cheering no matter what, like at a soccer game. Danny Wuerffel, he's sacked, yay! They're at a party and having fun. But the fans really, it was a great thing, and it gave a lot of guys another opportunity. There's a lot of stars that you've heard of that had it not been for Europe, probably wouldn't have got back in the league.
Now, besides running Desire Street, what else keeps you going these days?
Well, that's the main thing, and really focused on that. I'm also get a chance to be a part of a college award for community service that was named after me called the Wuerffel Trophy.
Yeah.
So every year, this year we've got, I think, 100 nominations from college athletes across the country, and that are doing incredible work in their communities. And we look at that, and we have a committee and sportscasters that vote on who's the community servant of the year. So excited with that. And then also, there's a new professional flag football league that just started in the last few years, and I've participated in that and just had tons of fun. Play with Michael Vick and a couple other pros this past year on a team, and just I think it's a really exciting sport that's really growing in popularity. And for a guy like me to be able to play in that still at my age is fun.
Well, tell us about that flag football league, because that's an interesting thing. I saw Mike out there doing it a little bit, but I mean that's almost at times harder than tackle football, because you got to get the flag. It's you got to catch the guy.
Flag's a great game. I mean, kids all across the country are playing flag football. People of all ages can play it, and there's a new league called the American Flag Football League, and they're doing these monster tournaments with big pots for winning. And so 120 teams across the country are competing. They've had great celebrities and professional athletes involved, and it's really raising the bar for flag football. And it's super competitive. It's super fast. It's all passing. A lot of great plays. And yeah, grabbing those flags are hard when you got these guys that are going 1,000 miles an hour.
Because we hear so much now about the tackle football, the concussions, the different injuries. I've always thought that flag would be a good way for youngsters to learn the game. I mean, and play it as long as they can, don't you? What do you think?
Yeah, and that's what's happening a lot. A lot more kids are playing flag longer into their kind of their youth. In fact, my son's a great example of it. He's in 7th grade. He's playing flag this year. He may play tackle next year or the next year. And so I think there's a lot of movement in that direction. You get to do a lot of the fun part of the game of football, and you reduce the contact.
Now, as a dad, what's it like for you having your son playing football?
I have mixed. There's so much talk.
What position does he play?
He played strong safety last year.
Attaboy,
This year,
yeah.
plays DB and receiver on the flag team. My older son is a soccer player. I'm super proud of him, and my daughter, she dances and she's amazing. So love and proud of all three of my kids. I think that it's a great sport. He loves it, and I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Now, you live in the area, so what do you think of soccer?
Man, out of nowhere, I have become a huge United fan. My wife started watching them and getting excited last year, and then with my son playing soccer this year, I started playing pickup soccer with him, and then we started watching, and it's electric. I love it. We just watching all these playoff games and just going crazy. And I was in the airport not long ago, and the team walked by flying for a game, and for the first time in my life, I went and took a picture with Joseph Martinez. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm a kid.
People are usually doing that to you, right? So that's
actually, there was some Gator fans there taking a picture with me, and I said, hold on a second.
Hold on, I got to go find Joseph Martinez. That's really cool. Hey, Danny, thanks so much for coming by, man. Good luck with everything Florida-Georgia weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Fred.
All right.